Here we go again. I got muted. But what up? It's your boy Herm here. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm pretty excited to about this show today because I have our special guest Brandon Ingram from Dismay Comics to talk about Gallows Man #1, his Kickstarter, and yeah. But before we get to that, of course, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ding 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 that bell for notifications for future videos, and let's get started with this. I'm gonna bring them in. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, our guy Brandon, what's going on, man?
Doing pretty good. I'm happy I made it just in time whenever I had joined the call. It was like about 8 minutes before. I quickly ran to the gas station to pick up a little caffeine. But I'm doing pretty good despite the gas shortage and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, you gotta be careful with that. You gotta save that gas with that happening. You know?
Yeah,
that feels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like every time like there's like 10 minutes left in the show, there's like I forgot this, I forgot that. You know, there's always
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, man, I hope you're having a good day. I'm having a good day. I'm pretty excited about this. I actually did enjoy reading this comic that you sent to me, and I wanted to before we get to that, how you doing? I heard you were from Florida. Oh, you reside in Florida?
Yeah, that's the thing about Florida is like it's basically its own country because it's a lot different than a lot of the United States, and plus Florida is like the way you divide it up, like the northern part of Florida is its own thing, central Florida is its own thing, and then like South Florida with like Tampa and Miami, that's its own thing. It's very different. I'm from Northwest Florida, which is basically, it's pretty much Alabama. It's a kind of redneck territory, stuff like that, but it's all good.
Yeah, I lived in Florida for 8. I'm from New York, born and raised here, but I lived in Florida for like 8.5 years, and I lived like in Fort Lauderdale for 4 years, and then we moved up to Vero Beach for 4.5 before I moved back to New York. Yeah, so I know what you mean. You know, I've driven all over the states. You know, because where we were at, even in Vero, if I want to go somewhere, you know, if I wanted to see things, I had to get out of there and go to another.
Yeah.
You know, go to another part of Florida or something like that. Especially like Orlando. You know, Orlando is like everybody's favorite place. But yeah, I love Florida though. That's my second home. Is there any like hobbies over there you like to do over there? Like, do you like outdoor stuff or something like that?
Yeah, growing up, I like a decent bit of outdoor stuff. Growing up, it was basically like I was a early 2000s kid. Yes, I was born in 1997. That doesn't make me a 90s kid though. So anyone that's like 95 to 99, if you were born there, I'm sorry, you can't call yourself a 90s kid. You didn't truly experience it. You were like 5 years old at most. Like you can't. No, you're a 2000s kid, whether you like it or not. But I was around that time where like extreme sports was a big thing, like X Games and surfing and all that stuff. And so I like got into like surfing and skimboarding and like skateboarding. But as I got older, I got taller and taller, a lot taller. I'm 6'7". I got taller and tall. Yeah. Yeah, you can't tell by this. I look shrunk down.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as I got taller and taller, my center of balance got worse and worse to where I couldn't surf anymore. I couldn't skimboard anymore. I definitely couldn't skateboard anymore to where it was just like, all right, I'll just I'll do kayaking and stuff like that. I don't do it often, but I like canoeing and kayaking, that sort of stuff. Whenever I get the chance, go for hikes, stuff like that. And then the everyday stuff you do inside, whether it be read, play video games, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I remember living over there. I never really done all that stuff. People used to invite me, but I never really liked it. I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm a decent height. But the problem with me, skateboarding and all that, I couldn't do because I wasn't getting taller, but I was getting wider. You know what I mean? And being heavy on a skateboard always broke. I could just never get. I could never skateboard, but I did ride some bikes when I was over there and all that. But yeah, the outdoor stuff over there, a lot of people love that. You know, getting on those
Oh yeah,
bikes and all that.
BMX and stuff. Yeah, we were big into BMX, but we were into like BMX in terms of like what they did like when my parents were kids, where we would like build ramps in our backyards and stuff like that and just wreck our bikes and all that stuff. But yeah, that lasted up until like late middle school, whenever technology just started booming and everyone's just playing whatever. I'm not an old person at all, but like it is weird seeing like how vastly technology has changed in my 23 years on this earth. It's a little weird.
It's
Um,
it's, it's
yeah.
different just 5 years ago. Just 5 years ago, all the stuff you could do now. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
unbelievable. And like everywhere, anything you do, whether it's comic, sports, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
so much more advanced, and I think the better technology got, the attention span of people got like even shorter. You know what I mean? So
That's spot on because with my job I do basically teaching within my job, and I've realized I've had to not shorten my lessons or stuff that I'm doing, but I have to like get to those bullet points like very very quickly, because I do understand like teen and children's attention spans have like dropped off a lot, and like older adults as well, myself as well as older people. Just all this technology that's been brought about, we're all just like, all right, get to the point, I've got this next thing that I'm doing, or I got this next video that I'm watching. Like the only videos people watch nowadays that are more than 20 minutes are like podcasts that they really like no one's going to watch a video that's not a podcast unless it's like a YouTube documentary or something. um it's weird. I
it,
I don't know, it's weird.
yeah, and the only way they'll watch it is like a quick live stream where people throw it on and listen
Yeah,
to music
yeah, exactly.
or something. And
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah. I forgot to mention live streams. Like people feel engaged in those, so they'll definitely hop on that because they feel like they're a part of the conversation, which they are. Um, but like if you're just making a video, if you're not like these well-known YouTube channels or whatever that are known for making those super long videos, it's like it's a little bit iffy. It's almost like if you're just putting out a video that's not a podcast or not a live stream, it's got to be like less than 10 minutes almost, just to keep the person's attention to the very end is what it seems like.
yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And speaking of people in the chats and all that, the fun and stuff, let's go real quick. Um, we got a lot of people up in there. We got Stefan Station. How you doing, Stefan? Travis. He wish you could be with us. It's okay, Travis. We understand, man. We understand. We got Bruce here, Fargate, Fable, Station. Who else? Hold on. Let me stop. I feel like I'm getting an echo or something. But Brother Joe, what's going on, Brother Joe? Station. You know what I mean? Everybody just popping in. Maria. Hi, hun. Station. Perry. What's up, bro? What's up, bro? Bobby De La Ghetto Station. Hardcore Station, my man. Yeah. A lot of stationing going on up in here. I hope I didn't forget anybody. Oh, Eric Station, my man. Station. Man. Bruce says, try 50 years ago when no cell phones existed, kids still played outside. Yeah, what is that? What's playing outside?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that new? Pool here, Station. Aiko, Station. So I think I got everybody. Thanks for popping in, everybody. I appreciate it. You know, we here. Oh, tomorrow. How can I affect that tomorrow? Tomorrow, Station, my man. My bad,
Be careful
bro.
driving.
Yeah, be careful driving, man. That's very dangerous. I act like I don't do that sometimes too, but it's still like be careful. Like even when you're driving, you want to get in the chats. You want to get somebody's on, one of your favorites are on or something like that. One of your boys are on, and you're like, "Oh, let me pop in. I'm here driving." I've done that before. Like, don't do that, kids. Don't do that at home.
Don't be typing station while you're cutting someone off in traffic or something.
Yeah, exactly. Thank
Pull over.
Yeah, yeah. So Kickstarter. No, I guess we can start talking about your Kickstarter. I want because there's some people in the chats that might not know what a Kickstarter is. Can you explain to them what a Kickstarter is?
Yeah, so I'll try to explain. One thing you'll have to forgive me is sometimes I go on like long tangents or rants. I just like talking sometimes. It's not really going to be like a tangent, but Kickstarter has really like changed over the past 5 or 6 years or so. Before this was a big thing. I'm not like trying to like bash Kickstarter, but this is just what I saw back then. Like 10 years ago or whatever, maybe 7, 8 years ago, like Kickstarter, it was for crowdfunding, but there was like a lot of like garbage on there. Not all of it. That's I want to clarify. Not all of it was garbage. There was good books, films, whatever it is that's being made, but there wasn't a great background check essentially for people to put their projects or whatever it is on there to where they could crowdfund it. So you could just like I think it was either on Kickstarter or Indiegogo or something like that. The thing where the guy was like, I'm raising $10,000 to make potato salad or whatever. That was a thing. There was that. He raised it. He made potato salad and all that stuff. It was a great deal. There was that one's more of a joke, but there was literal like essentially garbage to it. But over, I'd say the past 5 or 6 years, Kickstarter has gotten a lot better in terms of not prestigeness, just more professionalism. You don't see it as like that joke or whatever. There's a YouTube channel. I don't know if viewers know. His name's iDubbbz. He used to have a section called Kickstarter Crap. Like that was a section on his channel where he would go through like these horrible Kickstarter campaigns, and it just showed like how it was at that time when he made those videos like 6 years ago. But now it's a lot better. Kickstarter nowadays, it's a great crowdfunding site. Essentially, whatever you're trying to get made, it's perfect for the arts. It's perfect for like if you're an engineer or whatever it is. If you're trying to build this robot or whatever, you can crowdfund that. But it's great for the arts, and that's what I've been doing with my comic books, like with the Gallows Man. Basically, is I've funded this book in terms of the art, the lettering, all that stuff myself. All that's done. What this Kickstarter is basically like for the printing, and to like ship it to people. There's not really a profit margin on any of this, because if whatever I make over in terms of what I'll use to produce this book, I'm just going to put it back into the book, whether it be making more copies of the book, using some of those funds for like convention type fees, or putting that chunk of money into like bonuses for artists, whatever it is, like that money's going back into making these comics. But that's essentially what this Kickstarter is for. It's for printing this book, or getting a digital copy or whatever it may be.
Show it again.
Oh yeah. Here, I'll show both copies. Here's the cover A, like the regular cover, basically. Here, I'll take it out. This plastic doesn't do it any good. Always has those glares. There we go. That's cover A, and then this is the variant cover, or cover B. It's beautiful art. The art inside is great as well. The art inside's done by Helen Bolton. She's doing the art for the series. We're currently working on issue 2. It's a 4-issue miniseries. The series itself is completely written out. Like, it's completely done, written out. It's just working with Helen and working. Well, she does the lettering as well. So working with her on lettering as well. And that's what we're working on right now. We're on issue 2 and hope to get to issue 4 and then just see where it goes from there. This isn't entirely a spoiler, but there is potential for a series after this. There doesn't have to be, though, so don't feel like, oh, it's just building up to the next things. Like, no. It can just end here. Or there's potential for another series.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Like, people might get these and they might like it and want to see more. So you're saying they might be potential for
Yeah.
more if we like it. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool. Like so the artist, her name is Helen Bolton.
Helen Bolton. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how do you? Okay. So as you got this Kickstarter, you wanna create a new write a new book. How do you get an artist to help you?
So that needs to go way before even thinking about Kickstarter or anything like that. First step's obviously like writing your comic, do all that stuff. But finding an artist, like how I found Helen, there's different ways to do it. I found her through DeviantArt. It's a website. It's been around since like the 90s. You can post art up on there, all that stuff. And surprisingly, it's still going on today. People still post on it, get great art there. And for a lot of my first comics and stuff, it was just going through DeviantArt, like sifting through is not the best word, but just like going through, trying to find like the right artist for the book. Like type in something like a horror comic or superhero comic, and then just pages and pages, just try to find that right artist. Oh, this looks cool. I'll click on that. Now I'm going to look at their whole portfolio, like all the art they have, to see if see what else they have, what else they can do. If that looks good, I'll message them. And of those that you would message on DeviantArt, you'll get maybe 25 to 33% like hear back. And then it's just going from there. If you have no budget, then like you're good. Like you can work with like any of these artists. If you're like me, though, at the time I was a college student, I was on a budget. It didn't mean I didn't pay the artist. I paid the artist. That's one thing I need to put out there is like, don't pay your artist in exposure. Like, don't say like, oh, it's all good. You'll get paid in exposure. No. Pay them. Like the work they're doing, like they're putting a lot of effort in it. If you don't know it, if you, the writer, do not know it, they're putting a ton of effort into producing a page after page after page. And like this, what you're doing, the project you're doing, even if you're on a budget, it's not, that project isn't like that's not their main income, that one project. So also, if you're on a budget, you need to understand that like, hey, they have a life outside of this project. They have a family that they have to take care of. They have responsibilities. They also have other books, or they're working for a indie publisher or whatever. You have to understand like they have a life. So don't like rush them, don't pressure them, like work within their schedule. You're lucky that, hey, they're working with you. Like, understand that's awesome that they're working with you. So just work with them.
There's, it takes a long time to do all that art, and they're using that precious time in there to make your book. Right?
Oh yeah, it's insane. I forgot. It's maybe Todd McFarlane's talked about it before. I like watching all of those guys' videos and stuff, documentaries that they've done. Basically, how they would work. Like if they worked at Marvel, DC, whatever it was, or just an indie publisher, they'd work there during the day. Then when they got home, they had the little time that they had with family, and then like for a big chunk of night, they were just doing their books that they were trying to produce out there. Like it takes up a lot of their day. So just understand, like work with them, understand they have a life, they're a person. That's the biggest thing I want to put out there. Treat them like a person. Like, don't treat them like how some employers will treat their employees. Don't see it like that. See it as like a relationship that you're having with them, a friendship that's growing. Like, the biggest thing is just treat them like a person.
It's like that's like your teammate right there. You know, like
Exactly. Yeah.
that's like if you're a sports fan. That's the best way. That's like your teammate. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's spot on.
You know, you're trying to get a goal going and get this thing going. So
Yeah.
yeah, like pretty interesting. Yeah. I know I jumped the gun by asking by the artist, but you mentioned her, and I was just like, you know, let's talk
No,
about.
that's a good. And I also wanted to mention for anyone out there that's wanting to produce a book, DeviantArt's just one example. Nowadays, I think you don't really need to do that. I didn't know about Facebook groups and Instagram groups and stuff like that, or Instagram pages. You can find artists on Instagram, but there's a lot of Facebook groups that are dedicated to that, to like uh, uh, indie comic writer looking for comic artists, or like comic artists looking for indie writer. Like, those are so much easier to find artists compared to DeviantArt. What I did, I spent like in total probably close to 100 hours, not all at once, but like the span of like a month or something, just scrolling through scrolling through, just trying to find the right artist and stuff. Whereas nowadays those Facebook groups are just so much easier.
Oh yeah, that's true. The Facebook group, like I
Those
think people.
Facebook groups were around back then, I just didn't know about them.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of there's people still don't know that's an option. You know,
Yeah. Oh
it's
yeah.
Instagram and all these other apps, but Facebook is still a lot of people are still on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Still very very big and still up there. But yeah so yeah, you were talking about the writing process and like what made you want to write comics like as a kid. I read that you found a comic in a shoebox, or you bought a comic from a shoebox or something like that had like uh 70s and 80s comics or something like that.
Yeah, I went to a yard sale because my mom used to be really big into yard selling, and then as I got older, I was really into it as well. That's how like I'll like some of the stuff. Like I was on the Chamorro show like a week ago or so, where I showed like these weird paintings, like these weird clown paintings and stuff. It's literally from like yard selling and thrift store shopping. Just these weird things I have, like random stuff like this. Oh, that about fell. Like random scary Jack in the Boxes and stuff. Like, oh, wrong way though. Yeah, just things of nightmares, basically. Um, like,
Classic right
but
there.
anyway, like going with that, I enjoyed going to those yard sales and stuff with her. And yeah, like you said, I found a shoebox full of comics, and I didn't really know that much about comics at the time, but it had like the Batman comics, Superman comics from like 70s and 80s. It had some Robotech comics, like DP7. I still don't know what Marvel character that is. That is a Marvel character though. But just random stuff like that, and that kind of like got me kind of engaged in comics, as well as just like progressively as I got older, like the superhero movies that were starting to come out at the time, like with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and so on. But that stuff like interested me. In terms of writing comics, though, I think that what it was I was like really into writing like screenplays and like short film scripts and stuff like that. And what got me into writing comics was some of those that I wrote like back in high school and stuff. I would like look at it a couple years later and be like, this is a big thing with comics. I've thought about this before, but I haven't for some reason vocalized it on any shows. But like with like a movie, or let's say you wrote a script. You wrote a script and you have this one scene that's like spectacular. It's like it's the end game fight scene, the Avengers end game fight scene at the end. Everyone's together, CGI fight, big CGI fight. It's crazy. It's epic. Probably cost like millions and millions of dollars just for that one fight scene, though. That was only like 10 minutes of the movie. Cost a lot of money. But when I wrote that, I didn't care. I was just writing stuff like that. I didn't write Endgame. I'm talking about the person who wrote it.
I get it.
But like with my scripts though, whenever I would write them, sometimes I would write them like budget wise. Like if I wanted to make a short film script, I'd be like, okay, I need to keep that in mind. But what I love about comics is those big scenes or those big monsters or whatever it is. You aren't tied down to a big movie budget or a big short film budget in terms of like, if I want this monster to run through the jungle or whatever, like that's CGI and all that crap, that's going to cost a big chunk of change. Whereas with comics, that's a few pages in a comic, and I just pay my artists a page rate, meaning you pay them per page a certain amount, and it's so much cheaper. And you actually get what you were envisioning in the script. You're like, oh my gosh, this looks like so epic. Whereas like with the CGI thing with a movie, like might look good now, 20 years down the road, it's probably not going to look so good. But with comics, it's so much cheaper, and you get exactly what you envisioned. So it was kind of that. It was kind of like, I want to see what is on my script page or what is in my head. I want to see it like on the page. And one, it's going to look a whole lot better. And two, it's going to be so much cheaper than these crazy hundreds of $1 million movies and all that stuff. So I was like, this is the way to go with it. And I think that's like the main driving factor that got me into comics, was just like, you can go all out in terms of imagination. Yeah. Like you can go all out with it. Yeah, exactly.
Sky's the limit is where you could go. You could do
exactly
and everything. Yeah. That's why I love comics. You know.
Oh yeah.
Different kind of things you could read and all that, like horror or action, whatever you want, drama. It's there. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So you got into writing. There was anything about the Kickstarter you wanted to say before we get to the books? I know we're like half hour in.
Yeah, it's all good. Trying to think. If you haven't already, please go to the Kickstarter page. Check it out. There's a 7-page preview there. Read through that 7 pages. If you didn't like that 7 pages, you might not like the book, because that 7 pages is basically to just like show you what this book is like. So if you don't like those 7 pages, you might not like the book. But if you want to support this book in any way, or if you want to get a physical copy or anything like that, please help support this book. Back it is what I'm saying, like pledge to it. We've got different tiers. Even if you don't want a book and you just want to help out, throw a couple bucks or $1 or whatever. We've got tiers that range from $1 all the way to $70. So whatever works best within your budget and whatever you want to help with the book. We've already passed our goal. I set the goal low just because what I'm trying to do is just simply print this book. I don't want to set it too high to where if we don't reach it, then hey, no one gets the book. I don't want that. I want to set it low enough to where, like, because Kickstarter is all or nothing. That's what it is compared to some stuff like Indiegogo. All or nothing, meaning like if you reach your goal, then once the Kickstarter is over, that's when like a person's credit card or whatever would be charged on it. As well as like once you reach that goal, then I'm committed to then making that product for you. Whereas if we didn't reach the goal, your credit card wouldn't be charged and I wouldn't make the product for you. That's the difference between like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and stuff like that. I wanted to put it short because the book's done. Like all I'm trying to do is just print this book. So I just wanted to make it like a small goal simply so like and get it out to people. Like it's already past the goal. So like if you've already backed it, you're getting the book. You're getting the book. And now if you know about the book and you're interested in it, you can now back it. And you also have that guarantee of like, oh, it's already reached the goal, so I'm going to get the book anyway. Um, but there's tons of reasons to help support the book. One, to get further word out, basically, for indie creators such as myself, Helen Bolton, all those that have worked on the book, as well as we've got stretch goals and stuff. We're $30 away from our first stretch goal. Once we hit $700, we get that, and it might sound like dumb to some, but I really like it. It's a PSA, like public service announcement bookmark, with the Gallows Man on it. I think he says like reading is power, kids, or something like that. He's holding a book. If you read the Gallows Man or anything like that, you'll realize like this is absurd. That this guy is trying to like say stuff to children or whatever after you see stuff he does in the comic or whatever. It's just a fun little bookmark. And also the book's 49 pages, the first issue. So like if you read 20 pages, you're like, I need to take a break. Boom, bookmark. So all good. But that's the first stretch goal we've got. We've got the others listed there. You can check those out. But yeah, and in terms of the tiers, I know I should be like repping the $70 tier and all that stuff, but there's two tiers that I want to shout out the most. One is it's a $50 tier. It's custom digital art made by Helen herself. Like you can tell her what you want as long as it's under Kickstarter guidelines, and she will produce that custom piece of digital art for you, and we'll get that to you. We'll email it to you. So that's there. And then another one, it's a great value bundle is what it's called. It's $25. It comes with both of these, both cover copies, both signed by me, as well as a PDF copy of the book, a sticker set of the first issue, and then a social media thank you. Like we'll make a social media post at the end thanking everyone, and your name will be there, as well as the script to the first issue. So you can read through it. You can read through it and be like, man, this guy is awful at writing, or whatever. Maybe you'll get like one nugget of learning from it. Maybe not, but that's included with it.
That's awesome. Anybody in the moderators, could you drop that link for his Kickstarter for me, please? I was trying to pin it earlier while you were talking, and for whatever reason, it's not working for me. I'm like,
You're all good.
Problems over here, but I also will have the link in the description in the box below. So yeah, check them out. I read this comic. I did enjoy it. I thought it was silly. I thought it was dark. I thought I know what you were trying, what was going on in the page. Just don't. One of my buddies, he's right here, TM Nerdy. He wanted me to ask you, was it kind of like a 66 Batman kind of vibe you were trying to go for in this?
Oh yeah. Like the big thing with this book, and it's on the Kickstarter page as well, is like the best way to describe this book, without like saying the plot or anything like that. The best way to describe it is essentially take the 1960s Batman show or the movie itself, take that, and then take like a Tarantino movie, like a Quentin Tarantino movie, the violence that's within that, and mash those together. Because that's one thing you'll see with like the 60s Batman show is that fun campiness, but they try to like shy away from the punches and stuff like that by putting the bang, pow, all that stuff. It's essentially the drastic violence of a Tarantino movie put in place of that kind of. And we still have the bang pals and all that stuff. So it's the best way to describe it is it's like you said, it's silly, it's fun, it's stupid. just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, like it's not like you trying to not. It doesn't take itself too serious, like you were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
And you can see that in the page. You can see like, you're having fun with it. You can see like there's like these dark lines when they talk about the evil organization in there. I don't know if you can say the word, but
yeah.
yeah, and the wisecracks and lines in there, they're funny. You know what I mean? and and the little buddy of his, nose man,
Oh,
nose.
Newsboy, yeah.
Yeah. He says the joke, and they start, oh, ha, ha, ha. And I see Gallo, man. I see his voice going, "Hey, everybody, I'm a superhero." That's the voice I get in.
That's the thing. Like whenever I was writing the script originally, I had voices for everyone like in my head. Um, in terms of the Gallows Man, it was either Adam West or the guy that voices Joe from Family Guy. The reason I say him is because he was also the Tick in the Tick movie, so I was kind of thinking of that as well. Um, yeah, that's a horrible way to die. Um, but yeah, like that was with him. Newsboy, I didn't really have a voice for him. It was just a kid. Just imagine like Robin, the happy-go-lucky like 9 or 10 year old kind of, just in the midst of all this chaos, violence. The main villain, uh, because you'll read it and you'll see like there's some weird spellings and stuff. There's a reason for that. Is he has like a thick German accent. He's speaking English. He has like a thick German accent mixed in with like the Elmer Fudd speech impediment. So try to process that in your head as you're reading it. That's what he sounds like to me. But yeah, those are just like random, as I was writing, like stuff that I wanted them to sound like.
All right. So yeah, you were just Faye was just mentioning the Gallo mentor, whereas the Sparkle his name was and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to spoil too much, but I know like they went back in time to
Yeah, flashback. Yeah.
um and they were trying to stop the evil organization, and then like they come out like superheroes. Oh, here we go. They're gonna fight everybody, and then they get captured. You know what I mean? And then he got the big symbol. He takes the big symbol, and then all it gets really brutal after that. But I don't want to say anymore because I don't want to spoil it for the readers.
Yeah, you're all good.
That's pretty brutal. You see that? I was like, oh man, come on. And
that's the thing. There's like I mentioned, it's silly, it's dumb, that type of stuff. But there are like moments here and there of like, even if there is like a dark humor aspect to it, there's still like under the surface, like there's some kind of dark or like emotional stuff that's going on with characters. You kind of have to like look at it though to get that. Sometimes it may seem like the reason the characters are acting so like not naive, that's not the best word, but just like in terms of the violence, they're like desensitized to it and they're all happy-go-lucky. You might have to kind of not put yourself in their perspective. Don't do that. Don't put yourself in these characters' perspective. That'll probably distort your mind.
yeah.
But there's probably stuff under the surface.
Yeah, TM order. That was some mean stuff. But you see, like that, evil organizations mess up their own guy just to set an example or something like that. It's so funny. One of my favorite parts is they I don't want to say how he got there, but he's in the bedroom and he has his mask on. You know what I mean? He has a secret identity even when he sleeps.
That's one of my favorite parts as well. Is like
even the dog has one.
yeah. Like I don't know. It was one of those things where I just wanted that like over the top superhero, but he's like still over the top even when he's like at his apartment, like his crappy apartment, because he looks out and you see like crappy dumpsters and all that stuff. Like he doesn't have a good view of the city, all that stuff. But he's still like happy-go-lucky, and like
Yeah.
you said, he's wearing his mask still, like he slept in his mask, and he's got his whitey tighties on and all that. And then whenever like he's doing his morning routine, he's like monologuing his morning routine, and then he like as he's like finishing up, he takes off his mask, which he's had on all night, and his hair is perfect. Like it's not frizzled or anything, it's just perfect. It's slicked back and ready to go.
Yeah, like he had this thing happen to him, but he's still happy-go-lucky. Good
Yeah,
morning.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I enjoy this. Like I said, there's some, and then like I don't want to give up everything in the comic, but I like the reason he had someone following him and stuff like that, and obvious, you know what I mean? And like, and the cliffhanger, the little cliffhanger at the end, I'm not gonna like reveal it unless you want to do it yourself. But like making this, how do you, like, I want to say you say the 4 comic series. How do you know how the plan to make the plan and try to stretch your story? Not stretch it, that's the wrong word, but how do you map it out to get where you want it?
So with this series, I almost feel like it's going to sound weird and probably like not that great in terms of like teaching anyone anything. Which don't take too much advice from me. I'm an amateur at this. Like look at Robert Kirkman and all those people for advice. But I wrote the Gallows Man as a feature length script at first, like for a movie. Like not that I was like yeah, this is definitely going to be made into a movie. It was just like it was an exercise that I wanted to do, because I never at that point, because I wrote the first draft of the script back in late 2017. I had never written a feature length script that wasn't a horror movie. Like I like horror. I had written a few feature length horror stuff, but I'd never written anything outside of that in terms of feature length stuff. So it was a challenge for me just to challenge myself as a writer. And I had written it out, and originally it was just like going through screenwriting competitions to like just get the word out for the script and possibly like win awards and stuff, whatever that may mean. It didn't win the awards that I was wanting it to, or get noticed by the people I was wanting it to. But after like a year and a half, as I was getting into making comics and stuff, like making like anthology series and stuff, this comic as well as the second issue, Dismay Avenue 1 and 2, those Kickstarters will come out either at the end of this year or beginning of 2022. But those will be together. Those are horror.
That's the
my dog.
No.
What are you saying?
I have a poster behind you.
Yeah. This is like, that's the thing. Like whenever I'd made the poster, it was like 2018, late 2018. I thought it was like so cool because like the cover is basically kind of supposed to look like a like indie movie poster, kind of like with the font down there and all that stuff. So I wanted to make like a movie poster of it. And I was glad I did, but like looking back on or looking at it now, like I need to like take this down. It feels like so narcissistic. I don't like it at all. But yeah, like but with the Gallows Man, as I was making like these horror comics and stuff, and it wasn't getting picked up by any of these competitions, I was like, let me read through it, because I was making comics. I was like, could I possibly convert this into a comic? And I was reading through it and I was making changes and stuff. And after I made the changes, I was like, okay, I don't want to make it a graphic novel. I could collect it and trade later, but I want to like do issue by issue, just because I like the comic medium. I like the serialized medium. I was like, where would the breaking points be? And I was going through and I was like, oh, holy crap. Like that's a great part. That's a great part. That's a great part. Like it was honestly like luck, like in terms of I had written the feature length script and it was just like, those points are just there, like where it ends the issue. I was like, that worked out great. Like I need to make some changes to make sure like each one is roughly the same length. But wow, that was very lucky.
Yeah. There's a question that someone asked me, and there was like, what advice would you give a creator starting out making their first comic? You know.
Um, hmm, that's a good one. Not entirely writing advice. You can get writing advice from anywhere. And plus, like if you're thinking about making a comic, you're probably already doing the work in terms of writing. So I'll give you uh, more of the not boss side of. I'm not trying to sound like that, but like you're going to work with other people. So like a big thing is like have a budget starting out. That's a big thing because one thing that will happen is you will possibly go over budget. But if you don't have any budget at all, then once you get towards the end, you're like, oh crap, like I guess I'm not getting gas this week or something. Like you need to maintain a budget. So that's a big thing. Like plan this stuff out when you're before you're looking for artists. Think, okay, what can I pay per page? Or what can I pay for the whole project? Because I know some writer artist relationships they'll pay like half of the project up front, and then the last half once it's done. But then there's also the page rate way where it's like every page you get this amount, that sort of stuff. But budget, that is a major thing you need to do ahead of time before you start looking for artists, looking for letterers. That's a big thing. Hire a letterer. I know you think like, oh, they're just like typing in text. I can just like throw up in Photoshop a little word balloon and stuff. You may think that. It may look okay. Understand these people like do it professionally, so they know where it should go, what it should look like. I was talking on a show a couple of days ago that letterers are basically the unsung heroes in terms of the comic medium, whether you know it or not. And I read someone's comment on there. It was spot on. I think it was Legion of Comics. He may have said it, where basically the letterer is the person that shows professionalism in the book, like makes the book feel professional. Because if you have crappy like you could have great art, like a decent story, but if the lettering just looks like something a little kid did or doesn't look professional at all, it's going to make your book look less professional and less good. That's not good grammar, but yeah, like invest in letterers. It's not like expensive either. Just put that within your budget. You can find letterers on Fiverr. Like, yes, you can find them through all the other stuff that I mentioned. You can find Facebook groups, Instagram, all that stuff. Best way to find one is through Fiverr. You can find good letterers there and build a relationship from there.
Yeah, I heard Bob from Everything Comics a good letterer. he does some stuff on Instagram. He was showing them his little art, his little lettering once. I was like, oh, he could be a letterer. Because I don't think people don't realize, like you were saying, people don't realize how really, really important that is. Like, I wouldn't even think that until I started getting older. I was like, oh, okay, because I'm just looking at, the art and the book. And,
yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, they're very underrated. Like a lot of people don't mention them. And I think in the future I'm gonna try more and more to mention them in my videos because yeah, you see them a lot. And they do a lot of books. I'll be seeing, even the I'll be seeing it. I'm sure that takes time, a lot of time too.
Yeah, I was watching it was on Disney Plus. It was some Marvel documentary. It was one their I think it's their documentary show where like each episode's a different episode. And there was a letterer that was working with Dan Slott, which that episode just shows you Dan Slott's process. It's very interesting. It's definitely the Marvel way of doing things. But the letterer, like how spread out he is, how many projects he was working on. Like you had mentioned, they're working on like so many different books as letterers. And it's just crazy that they're like not entirely able to keep up, but it's more in the sense of like each book has a distinct look in terms of lettering. Like you can look at a book like Witches by Scott Snyder. The lettering for that is very specific. It's meant to look a certain way. And then you can look at a standard like Action Comics. It's supposed to look like your standard superhero comic kind of. There's specific ways to do that lettering, and it's amazing that they're like able to like not get it mixed up, kind of like to have those specific fonts, the specific text bubbles, and all the colors and all that make it look perfect for that comic. It just shows their professionalism in the industry.
And I love it. I love it all these things because a lot of people don't know about it. So I'm glad like you were able to tell us all how important that is. So that's very important. I think, yeah. We're going deep into this little chat right here. There's anything of the book that I haven't mentioned that you want to talk about, or future? Like, is there any tease you got for the future issues that you don't do, but because I want to read the next one.
yeah. I'll mention. Trying to think of a good tease. We are working on pages of issue 2. We're maybe a third of the way through with issue 2 in terms of art and everything. Trying to think of a good tease because you'll be a little bit shocked how issue 2 starts. I guess that might be a good tease. Is it doesn't start out exactly where the first issue ends. There's some time progression. I'll say that. Okay. So yeah.
So when we start the second issue, you're just gonna keep teasing us. So I guess that's good storytelling. That's good story. I like storytelling, but darn you.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I purposely made at the end of each issue where it was like not a cliffhanger issue, but like like a good way of like. It feels like a good, complete story to a certain degree per issue, but there is like, oh, I'm ready for the next step. Like you left that little nugget there, that little, I guess, cliffhanger there. I'm ready to see how that progresses. So there is that after each issue, but it is for that reason of like you're looking forward to the very next issue instead of like, oh yeah, I just read through like all of this and like yeah, I feel fine. Like, I don't need to pick up the next issue or whatever.
And so how does this work? When you get the second issue, are you going back to Kickstarter, and when can we expect the next issue?
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. I always forget to like talk about the next issue. We'll most likely have the Kickstarter for issue 2 up late this year, probably around December-ish. Like we'll probably have it done then. I'd like the whole comic to be done before we put the Kickstarter up. At the very least, have it like the art and everything's done to where like if it's not finished, it's stuff that I have to do, like the inside cover, the interior cover, like stuff like that, or like the letters pages and stuff like that, like the stuff where like I need to do it. I'm behind on. I better do this. So it'll either be the Kickstarter for the second issue will either be up late this year or very early 2022, like January. But yeah, I hope December. That'd be good.
That was awesome. Also, I can't wait for it. You have a fan in me.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm definitely gonna back it up. Anybody in the chats, drop that link for his Kickstarter again. Anybody watching on the rewind, it should be in the links below. Yeah, before I like to have a little talk. Do you need to go, or you don't mind having a little bit of talk?
Dude, I'm good. Right. I did all my work this morning in terms of my job and stuff. I'm good to go. Oh, I got my Mountain Dew. I'm all geared up.
Got that Mountain Dew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sponsored by Mountain Dew. But yeah.
Sponsorship. I drink
no.
Sponsor them. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. I already read what I wanted to talk about, but yeah, the Kickstarter, of course. Thank you, Fable. He said, "Awesome show, guys. This is yes a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with you doing this sit down. I don't like to call it interview, even though and the banner it says interview, but
Yeah, just like casual talk and stuff. Yeah, I like that type of stuff.
yeah. So who was your favorite superhero growing up? Did you have one?
Yeah, I guess it's not the most original thing ever. I think this is pretty much everyone's. It was Batman.
Yes.
It's just the best one for like a little kid or especially a preteen or teenager to gravitate towards because you're going through all those emotional changes and stuff, and like whether you know it or not, you have like a little bit of an emo phase within your head. No matter who you are, it's there where you're like, oh, like gosh, like that type of stuff. It's there, and you can definitely resonate a little bit with Batman. Not saying Batman's like strictly for teenagers. There's great stories, but a big part of it is like is that kind of darkness that you lean towards at that age. Because back then, nowadays, my favorite superhero nowadays is Superman. I love Superman, but back then, Superman was lame. I didn't like Superman. Like he didn't meet my teenage ideals because I you have those like dark and moody aspects to you as a teenager and stuff like that. And Superman, he's like this Boy Scout. What? No, I don't care to read that. As you get older, though, it at least for me, it switches to where you appreciate the Superman of something we can all aspire to be. Kind of, he's that. You see it all over the Batman v Superman. Not saying it's an amazing movie, but like the beacon of hope aspect to it. Whereas with Batman, as you get older, you're like, yeah, some of this stuff doesn't really make sense. Like Batman, why are you not doing more funding for the city and stuff? Like, yes, I understand. I understand your mentality. You're Batman. You
Yeah.
like a big chunk of this is for yourself. I get that. I'm just saying you're being a little bit selfish, Batman. Run for mayor, which I think he's done that, but I know that doesn't sell the books. Bruce Wayne as mayor, I know that doesn't sell the books. That's boring. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he'll run the city. It's over, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up with Batman too, Spider-Man, like both of those. So it's not
Oh
original,
yeah.
you know, but those who I loved when I was growing up, because Spider-Man was the whole thing. The only difference between Spider-Man and Batman was rich and Spider-Man wasn't. And, you know, I was growing up, so I could relate to Spider-Man a little bit more. You know, him trying to succeed, but he has a secret identity, and then he has to like you know, have his life as Peter Parker and his life as Spider-Man. The life of Spider-Man always interferes with Peter Parker's life, with his girlfriend, his family, and everything. You know, and
yeah, you're spot on with that because yeah, with Batman, like the reason we all like is like one, it's a great character. You get into the mind of him, and it's great for teenagers and stuff like that, as well as you get older. It's just great stories. A lot of some of the best comic stories come from Batman tells. But in terms of relatability, Spider-Man, yeah, that's a huge one. Like, because like you said, I can't relate to this billionaire. Like, yes, like he's a little dark inside. I guess I can relate to that a little bit. But in terms of like everyday life, like this kid, like, yeah, Spider-Man's spot on. And I think that's a huge reason of how this is probably mentioned in thousands of articles and documentaries of just that's the reason he's so relatable and how he was so successful.
Yeah, exactly. There's some people always tell me, why do you love him? And exactly what you just said. It's relatable. That's why.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I love the Batman. What got me into more Batman was Batman 89. That's gonna be my first love. So when it comes to Batman, so I freaking love that. Of course, the 66 shows. Who didn't enjoy those as a kid?
Yeah.
When they replay those and all the silliness and holy ravioli Batman, you know.
Which here's the thing, I'm now thinking about it. In terms of my generation as well as those that are younger than me, because Batman '89 was a little bit. It came out like a decade before us, that sort of stuff, and the '60s show and the movie came out long before. But with '89 as well as Dark Knight Returns and all that stuff, you had the seriousness and the darkness that came with Batman. You had those rising up. So whenever it came to like my generation and those that are younger than me, that's basically what we saw in the media was the dark Batman. Like, yes, it's awesome to see that serious dark Batman. But because we were shown that so much, if you ever switched on the 1960s Batman show, a good majority of us didn't see that appreciation. Especially what I mean is like as we were kids, because we were like, I want dark, serious Bruce Wayne, like punching bad guys and stuff. And then whenever you turn that show on, it's like, what is this? What are you doing? This is stupid. This is goofy. This is silly. And it's something you don't, at least for me, I didn't have that great appreciation of the 60s Batman show till like right out of high school. Like whenever I would do deep dives on that and be like, man, like this is a really good show. Because like that's the big thing whenever I was little is you don't entirely understand satire and nuance when it comes to media, because that show, it's playing into that. It's purposely campy. It's purposely stupid and stuff like that. They're doing it on purpose, and you get that whenever you see certain gags or certain jokes and stuff. You understand they're in on the joke as well. They're not trying to make it just stupid to be stupid. It's like great satire. But that's something whenever you're a little kid, you're like, this is stupid. I want my Dark Knight Returns. Nothing wrong with Dark Knight Returns. I'm just saying, like, me growing up, that's how it was. But yeah, I love the 60s Batman show now. It just took that growing up aspect and understanding of it to appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little older than you, so I didn't grow up around the era where that was happening with all the dark stuff. So the corniness and all that was still going on when I was a kid. So
yeah.
So the 66 Batman, but I also enjoy the animated series Batman. You know?
Oh yeah.
I think it's still best rendition to a comic book show out there to this day. And you know, the animated series Spider-Man, also my other favorite, but the Batman one's the best one. Fable here real quick says Batman Bruce is who I wish I was, but Spider-Man is who I'd actually be if I was a superhero. Yeah,
that's spot on.
You know what I'm saying? Brother
the
Joe,
wealth aspect of Batman Bruce, in terms of his mental state, I don't know if I want that.
It really he really is really dark there, and it kind of interrupts his I don't know if you could call it success.
It interrupts his success / like enjoyment of that wealth or whatever. I'm not saying, like, it's a big thing I want to put out there is like wealth doesn't equate to strictly happiness. It can help with some of that, but it doesn't equate. It's all about contentment, really. What are you content with? But yeah, he can't enjoy any of that because Bruce Wayne is the mask. Like, he is Batman. Like, himself is Batman. Bruce Wayne is just the facade, basically, and he can't enjoy the Bruce Wayne thing because he's not Bruce Wayne. He is Batman.
And that also affected his relationships too. You know, like that's why I love those superhero movies like that when you have some people affecting all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you have like any music that you like that relates to comic books or anything like that growing up? Or have to separate?
I'm trying to think. That's something. That's a good question. Like, I've listened to and I like all types of genres and all types of music. Um, that goes with comics. I'm trying to think.
It's a hard question.
Um,
And answer it sometimes.
yeah, I can't think of a specific comic. I can't. I know I've read a couple comics that deal with this issue, but anytime a comic dives into World War II or the this is just so specific because it deals with this song. I'll get to that. There's one or two comics. What was the George Takei graphic novel or comic where it talks about him as a kid? I forgot his character in Star Trek, but George Takei, he was he was in the internment camps in the United States during World War II. When he was a little kid, and there's a song by Fort Minor. It's got it's got
I know you.
the what's his
Oh,
name? I'm trying to remember. It's got the guy from Linkin Park, but I can't remember his name right now.
oh, I can't get it now neither.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but anyway, he's
I
like the
do.
Mike Shinoda, I think is what his name is.
There you go.
Yeah. So he started Fort Minor, and one of his songs is called Kenji, and it's basically a narration story slash poem of it's him rapping to a beat as he does with Linkin Park and Fort Minor and stuff. But it's a story of basically either his great grandfather or his grandfather, um, living during that time in the internment camps, because his grandfather was a first generation Japanese American civilian. Like he came to America from Japan, and just him like dealing with that. I think that might be like the closest tie with comics, was reading that George Takei book and then also really liking that song because it's a great narrative of that dark horrible time. Um, yeah, if no one knows of Kenji, you don't even need to read the George Takei book. Um, just look up Kenji and just listen to it. It's like a great story. It's a good song as well, but it's a good story.
Yeah,
It's a very underrated Fort Minor song.
yeah. I think he has a track in there where he explains some of that, all the refugees from that time and everything
Yeah,
else
yeah,
his ancestors dealt with and his great
yeah.
grandfather. And it's pretty touching. And I
Oh
remember
yeah,
the album. It was funny. You said any Lincoln Park and something like that. That's where I was going. you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
the best that I know. You know, but
yeah. I'm thinking about it now. There was a not really lyric wise, but there was that Linkin Park remix album, or maybe it was the Jay-Z one where the cover's like it's like a Gundam, I think. And I always for some reason in my head, I always equated that with comics. I don't know. I think it was just the art visual.
well,
But yeah.
the one of the Lincoln Park guys was big into comics and stuff like that. I mean, they all were, but
Yeah, yeah.
forgot his name. Was it Mike Shinoda was into comics, or was the other guy? But
Um it could be both. Yeah, it could either be Chester or Mike Shinoda, yeah.
yeah, because I think comics influence them. They influence a lot of people. People don't realize it. Comics influence a lot of people, and
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And you don't the average person doesn't realize how much it's impacted our world, which nowadays you can clearly see how it impacts our world with the $2 billion movies and all that stuff. You can see how it impacts the market and all that stuff. But even yeah, like you were saying, going back in time to not only 80s, 70s, all that stuff, but World War II, how much comics had an impact. It is crazy. And nowadays it's a little bit better than it was maybe 10 years ago, but there is still that nicheness to comics where
yeah,
people not are put off by it, but they're still they don't equate it to other forms of art, like a music album or a movie, like how those are pieces of media. They don't like put comics in with the same cat or as a piece of media as well. It's kind of weird.
It's always been outcast into.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Even though it's a lot better now. Like as a kid, it was like because when I was a kid, all my friends and all that was into it, and then it was a phase for them. They went out. I kept going. You know what I mean? And throughout my life, I was in and out of comics for different reasons, but it was never because I was tired of it or anything like that. But it was like, oh, he reads comics still, you know. Oh, he's wearing the Spider-Man shirt or the Batman. Oh, come on! And now,
Yeah, now
you
yeah,
know,
it's pop culture now. Yeah, like you're almost you're cool if you wear uh an Iron Man shirt or whatever nowadays. Whereas like yeah, you go to like the 70s or 80s, Iron Man's like a C-list Marvel character at that point, to where like if they made an Iron Man shirt back then, they're like, who the heck is that? Like they don't even know. Yeah.
you know, they only knew Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man. Those were the three, and then Wonder Woman would be the
Yeah.
other. But when it comes to Marvel, Captain America, you know, the obvious ones,
Yeah.
all the like you said, B, C listers, you didn't know who they were too much, and Iron Man is the perfect example. The MCU, Robert Downey Jr. did great in that role, and that thing just blew up. You know,
Oh yeah.
Iron Man movie. So yeah, I can't believe like a fan like growing up, we didn't have too much of that, and now there's so a lot of it, and then people are like, oh, there's too much. Not for me, because when I grew up, we
Oh
barely had,
yeah.
you know. And
Which
go ahead.
I'm not. This isn't like I'm not trying to sound offensive or anything. This is actually like a genuine question. I do a podcast with a friend of mine, and we're both like mid 20s, and we were talking about how like even whenever we were kids, where it was like early 2000s stuff like that, it still wasn't that niche because you had the Spider-Man movies and stuff. You had the Tobey Maguire movies. You had Blade. You had all that stuff, to where comics were kind of there. I wanted to ask you because me and him have talked about it, like you, and I'm not saying you're as old as Kevin Smith. I'm not saying that, but like, like that type, like you or like someone like Kevin Smith, how like nowadays or whenever me and my friend were kids, we could find someone pretty easily to talk about this comic character, that comic character. Whereas back then, like it for you guys, wasn't it basically like if you found anyone else, it was pretty much talking about like Superman or Batman or Spider-Man, like the big people. Whereas like if you were reading a character like Booster Gold or whatever it is, there's no way you're going to find anyone else to talk to about Booster Gold. Whereas like nowadays it's so much easier. But like yeah, that's something me and him were talking about is like people like Kevin Smith and stuff like that, how you were like ingrained into that at a young age and you stuck with it. And like, yeah, you talked about the popular characters and stuff like that, but any niche characters like the Spectre or anything like that, like good luck. Like you're not going to find anyone to talk to about that.
Yeah, especially like no, growing up, I'm an '80s baby, so growing up, especially around that time, like when Marvel blew up in the early '90s and all that, with especially Lightfield and all those guys, Jim Lee.
Yeah.
People want to talk more about Marvel than DC even. So like, I was a Batman fan. I was one of the only ones that actually bought any Batman or Superman. Oh, until of course you got the big events with the death of Superman and the broken back.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no way to ask anybody. There's a lot of characters that I didn't even know, like Green Lantern. I didn't know much about him because he wasn't popular at that time.
Yeah.
And I could never get into him because of that. Because there was no way. Even when I go to the library, you didn't see too many of those books around my way. Growing up in Brooklyn, and yeah, and once popularity died off in the late '90s, and all the LCSs around me disappeared, you really couldn't find anybody to talk, unless, like you said, unless it's Superman, you know, even Batman, Spider-Man. The things you saw on TV is the only way you would be able to talk. And they still didn't read the comics. They would talk about the movies and shows and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, you couldn't even talk about like characters within the comics. So let's say you were reading the Nightfall series. and for some reason you want to talk about Azrael. The average Batman fan who's not reading the comics, which that's the majority, was like watching the movies or the shows, they don't know who the heck Azrael is. So if you mention that, they're like, is that like some like medieval character or something? Yeah, yeah,
even
that's
even
odd.
Death of Superman. If you look at, there was a lot of characters in there trying to help him fight Doomsday. A lot of characters I don't even know, like Booster Gold. He's in there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know who the heck he was. So I had
That's
to
the
go ahead.
That was a really weird point for DC's history, because it was almost like because Image was eventually going to be on the rise, and Image at that point was going to be second. Like you had Marvel, then you had Image, and then DC was under Image in the 90s, basically, to where it seems like DC, because not that they were doing bad, but like they weren't doing amazing, they took a risk like that, because I think that team was Justice League International. I might be wrong, but it was the weird characters. It was Booster Gold. It was Martian Manhunter, which isn't as weird, but he was basically like a leader of the team. Um, Booster Gold, Martian Manhunter, Blue Beetle, the Ted Cord one, not the other. Um, Fire and Ice, I think, or something like that. It's the weirdest characters, to where like at that point they for some reason took that risk. It's cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, it had a lot of. I think also had a lot to do with all the Crisis stuff. They kept changing stuff with the Crisis and
Oh
all
yeah.
of that, and all
Oh
the
yeah.
Crisis. Now, how about that? That's what confused me. And like you said, I couldn't follow in about the Crisis. It would say something about it, but I didn't know where to go. And then
Dude, that
go ahead.
well, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm like awful at that. I need to stop. But that makes me think like that's a really good point. Before like discussion boards, or in today's era, YouTube videos that explain this type of stuff. Like just trying to like put myself in your shoes, or like anyone else that was in like the 80s or 90s, like how like essentially like, hey, you didn't read Crisis on Infinite Earths. Well, good luck with you. Like we're not going to explain it. Like the biggest explanation you'll get is at the bottom of the page will say like editorial, read Action Comics, blah blah blah. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, but now the newbies today, they don't have to worry about that. It's all over the place. And there's now
Yeah.
you have people like us talking about it, having a show here, and I think it's awesome. I think it's phenomenal, and I just, that's why people say you always smiling, because I didn't have this when I was younger. So
Yeah, yeah.
happening in my life, comic books just brings me back to happiness. So that's why like, yeah, it's interesting seeing the younger guys, younger people like really ask me that and all that, because they really didn't know what that was.
Yeah. I mean, it's like really interesting because yeah, like if like with me, like I didn't live with that. So like just imagining like you didn't have the YouTube videos, you didn't have the discussion boards, you didn't have the Wikipedia articles that you could instantly pull up someone's page and like read it and know basically half of everything about that character within 5 minutes. You didn't have that stuff. Your knowledge came from the conversations you had about the TV show or the movies or whatever it is, and the specific comics you read. And like if you're a kid at that time or at this time as well, you can't pick up every issue. So whatever issue you got, that's the information you got on that character. You can't look up on Wikipedia or whatever afterwards. So yeah, that's crazy.
It's a lot easier to memorize stuff because you read the thing multiple times.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. You had an appreciation for it because
yeah.
yeah, like you're saying, like this is all I have. Like I remember um PlayStation 2 came out. Me and my brother, we got a couple games and stuff. But I remember demo disc back when they had demo disc for systems and stuff. I remember playing specific demos, not even games, but specific demos like dozens of times. Dozens of times, just playing this one demo to where like every line of dialogue within this one mission of a demo. But it's like what you're saying. It's that you had a greater appreciation for it because That's like all you had was that one thing or that few issues or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's why like when I see a younger person complain about certain things, I understand that they didn't grow up there, so they don't know what that is, and so they'll see someone like me. Oh, you like everything. Not everybody my age likes everything. I like almost anything, but I'm just saying like people like me look still appreciate more because of that, and struggle when there's so much to read, and like you can only read it once because you're behind. You know the whole big backlog of books that we have. You
Oh
know
yeah.
so much now that you could get. Of course, you get older, you have a job, you can get the stuff and stuff like that. As a kid, you didn't have that, so you read whatever you had, and you didn't have like these devices or something like that, where you can have Marvel Unlimited, DC Infinite, whatever you call that now. So yeah, so that's why I appreciate it. I wanted myself to go back and go read all that too, but I still want to read today's stuff. So it's a whole
There's just so much out there. Yeah.
much.
And not only with the books definitely, but also just the media. Because like in terms of superhero media, like if in the 80s and some in the 90s, you were just happy if there was any comic show or movie that came out. Like you'd get one every few years or something. You're like, yes, I can't wait. To where nowadays we're just like, there's so much of it to where like you can't keep up, or you prioritize to where you're like, I'm going to watch this, I'm not going to watch this at all. If you went back 15 years ago, that thing that you wouldn't watch, you would watch it because there was nothing else there. Like I'm not trying to bash this show, I haven't watched it, but there's so many superhero shows right now to where I was like prioritizing, and I saw Jupiter Legacy or something like that on Netflix. I saw that, I was like, I'm not going to watch that. I want to watch this stuff. If that show came out 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I would have jumped on that show just because there wasn't as much stuff out there.
There was choice. Like you had to watch it before. It was like scheduled time. Like if you didn't watch it, you missed it. And then
Oh yeah.
a show. If you didn't watch an episode, you missed it. You had to wait for reruns in the summer. That's how it was. It would start
Yeah.
to end around May or early June, and then you have to wait till they get to that show in the summer. Oh my God, the struggles was real, man. The struggles was real. Yeah, so I could keep going talking. This was a lot of fun. I could keep going talking all day, but I'm getting a little hungry. You probably get a little hungry yourself or something like that. But thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate you hitting me up and doing the show with me. I enjoyed the issue so much. I can't wait for the second one. Anybody moderators, if I still have any left because they're busy, to drop the link again, or the link, the Fund the Rewind, the link will be down in down down below. I can't even talk now. But I was so excited with this conversation. I can't even talk. But yeah, check it out. Check out Brandon. Great comic. I hope it keeps going. I hope much success to you. There's anything else you want to talk about or plug before you go? I'm gonna give you the spotlight.
Oh, thank you. Well, I first want to say thank you for responding back when I reached out, and thank you for letting me be on this. It was great. In terms of plugs, you can check out Dismay Comics stuff. That's DISMAY Comics on Facebook or Instagram. You can see progress with the Gallows Man, as well as once we get past this Kickstarter campaign, you'll see updates for other comics as well. But our main focus is the Gallows Man right now because the Kickstarter campaign's going up. Support it in any way you can. If you want to throw a buck or two there, that's fine. If you want to get the book, that's great. If you're tight on funds, that's fine. Just literally just be like, hey, grandma, grandpa, don't talk to your grandma or grandpa about this book. They probably won't like it, but just spread the word. Just share the word. If you're willing and interested, any little bit helps. In terms of other plugs, I always forget to do this. Me and my buddy Tio, we have a podcast called Store Brand Comics. That's on most podcast listening apps. You can find it on Anchor or Spotify if it's not on the one that you use. But each week, every Friday, we put out a new episode. most of the episodes are usually us coming up with a premise. We're both like amateur writers, so we come up with like a pitch basically for a movie or a comic idea or whatever it may be, or just like fan fiction type stuff. Like we have an ongoing series called Marvel Relaunch. I don't know what we actually titled it, to where we basically did, what if Marvel did like a relaunch like Valiant did back in 2012, to where like you relaunch everything. Like it's a kind of a reboot somewhat. That's a lot of fun. We do it here and there, as well as other stuff. Like this wasn't even an episode. It was in one of our discussion episodes, because sometimes we'll have discussion episodes about different things. We had an idea of, you see all these movies like Nobody with Bob Odenkirk, where it's the old dad who's like, he's a family guy. He has the polo. He says, "Hi, neighbor," all that stuff. He's a nice guy. And then something switches at some point in the movie to where you find out, oh, he's like this like ex-CIA guy or ex-mafia guy or whatever. And he just like kicks butt throughout the whole movie. We had an idea, because we were like, who is another person that you would not see being the old fighter dad guy? We came up with an idea. We don't have a title, I don't think. Essentially, Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is our guy. He wears the blue polo, says "Hi, neighbor," wears glasses, all that stuff. But he's an ex-Yakuza member. He was a part of the Yakuza, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
So you have the "Hi, neighbor" and all that stuff, and then something happens, something switches a quarter way through the movie, like he gets brought back into it, and then you see him like take his blue polo shirt off near his closet. He's taking off his belt and all that. He's taking off his blue polo shirt. He's got the big dragon tattoo on his back and all that. It's ridiculous. But that's the fun little pitch stuff we like to do. But we do discussions as well as that type of stuff. But you can check that out, Store Brand Comics.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna mention the podcast. I saw that you had a podcast. I'm gonna have to check that out. Definitely.
Thank you. It's just audio. We just do audio, but yeah.
Yeah, I listen to podcasts. I also listen to podcasts at work and stuff, or whenever I'm driving home, or wherever, if I'm going out get the lady and stuff. I'm always listening to podcasts more than even music this day. Comic book, whether it's comic book movies or whatever, that took over my life. As I got older, I still love music.
Yeah.
People talk to me all day.
I think I'm right there with you. I listen to more podcasts than I do music nowadays. Yeah.
It's insane. I was like, man, is it because of my age, or is it just because we didn't have this when we were growing? There we go. We talk about that again. So yeah, everybody check out his podcast too. I'll try to add it to the. I didn't have that one. I'm gonna probably try to add it to the link down.
Yeah, thank you. The early episodes are a bit rough because we were just starting out. The newer episodes are okay. I'm not promising anything with this podcast. It's just simply a thing we do as a hobby. Because of COVID and stuff, it's basically our way of meeting up with each other and then talking whatever, comics, coming up with an idea, whatever it is.
I love talking comics. So thanks for joining us. Thanks everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed this on the rewind. Enjoyed this on the stream. Looked like people enjoyed it here. Everybody was commenting, and see you guys next time. Tomorrow I might have a new comic book day haul video. I'll go live tomorrow somewhere in the evening. Check me out. I'm not gonna plug too much of my stuff. It's about you today. So everybody check out his Kickstarter. I never learned how to end these right. But yeah, check out his Kickstarter and all that. You will have fun. It's a fun read. And of course, till next time, everybody. Peace out.
Thank you.